Oh. 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 Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sadashivasamarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Ramo Rajamani Sada Vijayate Ramam Ramesham Bhaje Ramena Vihata Nishacharacham Ramaya Tasmai Namaha. Ramanasti Parayanam Parataram Ramasya Dasosmiham Rame Chittalaya Sada Bhavatu Me Bho Rama Mamuddhara Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Satgurum Brahma Vidwaram Satgurum Brahma Vidwaram. Hari Om. So far in Tattva Bodha, we have seen Adhikari Prakaranam, the qualifications of a fit student. Then we saw Tvampada Shodhanam, inquiry into who am I. Then came the topic of Tatpada Shodhanam, what is the nature of this creation. And then we had seen Mahavakya Vichara, oneness between the individual and the total. Tvampada and Tatpada Aikya is what we had seen last time. Tatpada Vachyartha, the literal meaning of Tatpada is consciousness with Samashti conditioning, which we know as Ishvara. Tvampada Vachyartha is that same consciousness with individual conditioning known as Jiva. And Mahavakya says Jiva is Ishvara. Obviously, when the student listens to this statement, he is taken aback. He asks the teacher, how is this possible? That Jiva is Alpajna, Ishvara is Sarvajna. How is this oneness possible? So then the teacher points out, it is only from consciousness standpoint that we can understand this oneness. Conditionings which are there, they are in appearance in consciousness. That is why you can negate it. So that process of negation and understanding how this oneness is established is called as Mahavakya Vichara. So this is what we had seen last time. This is where we had paused, where we saw when it comes to Tvampada, gross body, subtle body, causal body, all of that is pointed out. And then when it comes to creation, total gross creation, subtle creation, all of that is included in the analysis. But finally, what we want to show is that there is oneness between Chaitanya. One of the classical example given in our Shastra to show this point is this. So for example, those of you who saw me in the last class, you saw me with a beard and everything, right? And today you are seeing me without a beard. So if somebody asks, is this the same Brahmachari Soham Chaitanya who was there, last week? So you say, yes, he is the same person. But this person, how can it be so? Last week, same Tattva Bodha class, I saw him. He looked so different. He had a beard. But today, he looks so different. So what will you say? You will say like that teacher who told. That beard which was there, it was only an upadhi. It's a conditioning. Beard being there or not being there doesn't affect this brahmachari. Saha soham ayam soham. Saha means that soham whom you saw last week is the same soham whom you are seeing today. In our Shastra, the word soham is replaced by Devadatta. So I had a friend in my childhood and I see him 20 years after. Now he looks totally different from when I had seen him. But when I look at him, I should not look at him as some other person. That same person with some other conditioning is appearing different. In the same way, all these things which are there, right? Gross body, subtle body, causal body, all of these things are conditionings. Just like that beard, it is a conditioning. Whether it is there or whether it is not there doesn't affect Chaitanya Brahma. At the total level also, the cosmic upadhi, the cosmic conditionings of this gross creation, subtle creation, causal creation, that doesn't affect the original, which is Chaitanya Swarupa Brahma. He said it is that same Brahma appearing as Jiva with individual upadhi, appearing as creation with total upadhi. With this knowledge, if somebody can very well digest, very well understand, that person is called Jnani. And because mind has been purified through sadhana, that person becomes Jivan Mukta. So next portion is about Jivan Mukti, which we have seen in Atma Bodha elaborately. So we will touch upon few ideas over here. Evam cha Vedantavakyaihi Sadgurupadeshena cha Sarveshvapi bhuteshu Yesham Brahma Buddhirutpanna Te Jivan Muktaha Ityarthah Nanu Jivan Muktah Kah Yatha Dehoham Purushoham Brahmanoham Shudrohamasmiti Drudanishchayastatha Naham Brahmanaha Na Shudraha Na Purushaha Kintu Asangas Satchidananda Swarupah Prakasharupas Sarvantaryami Chidakasharupah Asmiti Drudanishchaya Rupo Parokshajnanavan Jivan Muktah Brahma eva aham asmiti aparokshajnanena Nikhila karma bandha vinirmuktah syat. This is Chidakasha Rupaha Asmi iti, and then Druda Nishchaya Rupaha Aparoksha Jnanavan. That Avagraha is A, which comes there. So now the student is asking, teacher, please tell me, who is a Jivan Mukta? This is the question, Nanu Jivan Muktaha Kaha. So first, teacher, anticipating this, he introduced this topic. He said, वेदांत वाक्यैहि सद्गुरु उपदेशेन च सर्वेषु अपि भूतेषु येषां ब्रह्म बुद्धिर उत्पन्ना. Jivan Mukta is the one, he has gotten this knowledge and he has this Brahma Buddhi. How did he get this knowledge? He says by doing Vedanta Shravanam. Vedanta Vakyahi, and having that Guru Nishtha, Sadguru Upadeshena. Vedanta is Pramana, but Pramana by itself cannot speak. So you need a Guru who will facilitate that role of Pramana for us. Pramana means valid means of knowledge. So with that kind of Shraddha, he has done Shravanam. Then this knowledge has clearly taken place that I am Brahma, and in me alone, this entire creation is appearing. So whatever objects he is seeing, he is not seeing that as Nama Rupa anymore. He is seeing that as an appearance in consciousness. That is called as Brahma Buddhi. It is not that he has done something to the world. All that he has done is to his own Buddhi. Buddhi means what? Understanding. And what is Jivan Mukti? Again, the teacher clarifies. He says, just like we have strong notion that I am this body, I am man, I am woman, or some other identities. I am Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. He says all these are identities that we begin with, but culmination is in this understanding that these are erroneous identities. So what is the true identity? He says, Drudha Nishchayaha Tatha Naham Brahmana. I am not Brahmana, neither I am Shudra, nor I am Purushaha. He says that identity is so strong. You know, my whole Vyavahara runs on this fact of these titles that I have taken up. And you can add all other titles also. I am a doctor, I am an engineer, musician, social worker. Those are more layers which are added upon this notion that I am a man, woman, Purusha, and etc. So what is the understanding of a Jivan Mukta? Jivan Mukta is only one understanding, that I am Asanga, unattached, pure consciousness I am, Satchidananda Rupa. In my light alone, all knowledge is happening. Knowledge means the process of perceiving anything. So Prakasha Rupaha I am, and I am Sarvantaryami. I am seated in all Antakarnas. And I am Chidakasha Rupaha. Chidakasha means, you know, Bhautika Akasha, right? The manifest space that we see. So like this, there is Chit Akasha. You know, it is, if you want direct translation, it is space of consciousness. Right? It is not to be, means it is all pervading. That is what we have to take. Drudha Nishchayaha Rupaha, one who has this firm conviction, one who knows this consciousness as my own self, that person is Jivan Mukta. Sometimes even the word Atma, we start using it as second person or third person. You know, we are very comfortable saying Atma is Asanga, Atma is Satchidananda Rupa. But here Shankaracharya says, Jivan Mukta knows, I am Asanga, I am Satchidananda Swarupa. I don't feel that way. He said, do more study, do more sadhana, listen to Vedanta very thoroughly. And this Tattvabodha is one of the introductory texts, right? So we should not be in any hurry. There are many texts which will come. Again, same points will be emphasized. But we should know what is the Lakshana of Jivan Mukti. Here it is said, clear knowledge alone is the main criteria for Jivan Mukti. And this knowledge cannot take place unless somebody has done a lot of sadhana. So on the strength of both of these things, Jivan Mukta is able to keep sorrow away from life. If we are able to do that on the strength of our sadhana first, but finally on the strength of knowledge. If I am Brahma and everything is an appearance in me, then not getting too carried away by anything. Okay, that is this Shuddha Jivan Mukti Lakshana. Aparoksha Jnanavan Jivan Muktaha. And what happens with this Aparoksha Jnanam? Shankaracharya says, all karma bandhanas which are there, a person is released from all of them. Now this text flows in such a way, whenever a word is used, he will elaborate on it more now. So he used the word, all karma bandhanas, you are freed from all of that. So now the student is asking, what are the different types of karmas? Okay, so this moves into another topic now about 3 types of karmas. Karmani katividhani santiti, karmani katividhani santiti, chet agami sanchita prarabdha bhedena, agami sanchita prarabdha bhedena, trividhani santi, jnanotpatyanantaram, jnanideha krutam, punyapapa rupam, karmayadasti, tadagami tyabidhiyate, sanchitam karma kim, anantakoti janmanam, bijabhutam, sat yat karma jatam, purvarjitam tishtati, tat sanchitam jneyam, prarabdham karma kimiti chet, idam shariram utpadya, ihaloke evam, sukhadukkhadipradam, yat karma, tat prarabdham, bhogena nashtam bhavati, prarabdha karmanam bhogadeva kshaya iti. So what are the 3 types of karmas? Bhagavan says it is agami, sanchita and prarabdha. Each one we will see. So we'll go to the slide and there we will see each of these definitions. So I'm coming back to them. I will just change the order a little bit. First we will see what is sanchita karma. Then we will see what is prarabdha karma. Finally we will come back to agami karma. Just for the ease of understanding. That is how we will see. So before we go into what is sanchita karma, let us try to understand what is karma. There is a difference between kriya and karma. Breathing is a kriya. You don't get any result, papa punya, out of breathing. But if that same kriya has a sense of doership behind it, same action, if it has sense of doership behind it, that becomes karma. So while you sit down for puja, pranayame vinyogaha, so you take your hands and do pranayama. That is also another action, but because it has sense of doership behind it, that will be called as karma. Okay, any action done with a sense of doership, that is called as karma. And this karma is such, it starts at a time and it stops at some time. Means right now I'm talking, it's a karma, right? There is some sense of doership behind it. And I started at 11 o'clock. Hopefully I will conclude at 12. Today it might go a little over, huh? So please stay back. So karma starts at a time and it ends at a time. And the result of that is either punya or it is papa. There are only two results that can come from a karma. And what happens is that karma might end at certain point, but it leaves something called as apurva. Apurva, it's very difficult to translate in English, but the closest word is impression. Karma might have ended, but it has left a very subtle impression, and that impression is called as apurva. Collection of this apurva rashi means bunch, collection of this apurva is called as sanchita karma. This is a word from Purvamimamsa. They use this word called as apurva. Apurva means that which was not there before. Purva means before. Apurva, that which was not there before. So any karma that I do, it is not only the immediate action that is important. What is more important is the impression it has left behind. And this apurva is responsible for giving the right result of action to us even after the action is completed. For example, if you help somebody, right? Somebody needed some help and you went there and helped. Now that physical action of helping that person started at a point and it ended at a point. But that was not it. It created this apurva, which is stored in our sanchita, stored as sanchita karma. This punya karma, which was done by that good act, that will come back later as result in our life. So like this, so many ananta koti janmas we have had, and we have been doing this punya and papa karmas, knowingly, unknowingly, in whatever way, we have been gathering this fixed deposit. In our bank we have, right, something as a fixed deposit. So that is this deposit of karmas which are there. And the beauty of this is, sometimes when we do good karma, right, nobody notices it. So our Shastras say, you don't have to worry about it. The one who has to really take notice of has already noticed it. That is our Bhagavan. And in this way of forming that apurva, that good punyas have already gotten accumulated. You don't have to worry about how it will again come back. When it comes back, just be thankful to Bhagavan. Now the same is true with not so good karmas also. Sometimes we do those karmas and then we are happy that nobody saw. I said, don't be too happy, because apurva is already created. That is why japa, which is done even at mind level, that also gives results. Nobody saw, right, from outside. But Bhagavan is antaryami. So he has taken a very good note of all our karmas. Very good note means it's a figurative way of saying. The Bhagavan's creation is such that every karma produces these impressions called as apurva rashi. So that's what Bhagavan is saying here. Ananta janma, ananta koti janmana bija bhutam sat. It is in the seed form since time immemorial. So many janmas we have been accruing this. And then it is karma jatam, purvarjitam. Karma jatam means it has come out of our own karmas. Tishtati tat sanchitam jneyam. Know that to be sanchita karma. So what should we take away from this? First, understand what is sanchita karma, that our own actions don't give immediate results. Karma needs time to ripen. And good karmas will create those good apurva. And similarly, other papa karmas also will create that apurva. So now this is sanchita karma, that apurva rashi, that cloud is called as sanchita karma. Don't take it like a literal cloud. All these are limitations of language. Like cloud computing does not mean you are literally going up and doing something, right? So this cloud of karma is not like another cloud. I was very surprised when many sadhakas literally took this, right? I was asking, where is that cloud? Is it in the heaven or where is it? So apurva rashi. Out of this apurva, a part of it, a chunk of it is taken, and that gives rise to our physical body and whatever experiences that we are going through in this physical body. Okay, so that is called as prarabdha karma. From that same sanchita, same apurva rashi, one part is taken, and that spans across this entire lifespan. That karma, which is just taken out, that is called as prarabdha karma. Idam shariram utpadya, having given rise to this physical body, iha loke eva sukha dukkhadi pradam, that which brings all sukha dukkha in our life, tat prarabdham, that is called as prarabdha karma. And how will it end? Bhogena nashtam bhavati. It will end only by experiencing. Example we will see, which is given like a short arrow. Once that arrow has come out from the bow, there is no bringing back. Just like speech, right? Once you have said something, there is no bringing back. No matter how much you want to apologize, it is gone means it is gone. So that is this prarabdha karma. Once it has taken out a portion from sanchita, it will give its full share of results. Bhogena nashtam bhavati prarabdha karmanam bhogad eva kshayati. So of prarabdha karmas, only by bhoga there is kshaya. Means it will end only by experiencing. So Patanjali Maharshi has written one sutra in Patanjali Yoga Sutra, where he says, Sati mule tad vipakaha jati ayu bhogaha. He says there are three things which are decided or brought about by prarabdha. What is it? What are those three things? First one he says is jati. Jati means like manushya jati, vruksha jati, pashu jati. The species in which this jiva is born, that is called as jati. That is why so much of glory is sung about getting a human birth, right? That with so much of punya karma means what? Same sanchita karma which is there, in that lot when punya karmas are more, then this human birth is given. Okay, the first one is jati. So different jatis, we can see animals, trees, and one of that jati is manushya jati. Species, that is the meaning of jati. Ayuhu, once having gotten a jati, manushya or whatever, the moment you get this body, age is determined. How long this jiva will stay in this deha, that is determined by prarabdha. These are all very deep points for reflection, but in some other text, if we have time, we will take it. Now I'm just introducing this topic. More we will discuss some other time. And he says the third thing, which is decided by prarabdha, is bhoga. Bhoga does not mean enjoyment all the time. Bhoga means all situations that come in our life which continuously give us experiences. Unasked, so many situations keep coming. All of that is determined by prarabdha. Now, important thing to note here is my response to a given situation is not determined by prarabdha. We see here, jati is determined. Having a human body, that is determined. How long it will stay in this human body, that is determined. And different experiences that come through this human body, that is determined. But what is not determined by prarabdha is my response to that situation. Taponji Maharaj, I think I had shared this once, many Maharajas used to come to meet him, right? The Maharaja of Nepal and many people from Delhi used to come. And they used to bring a lot of gifts for him, a lot of sweets and everything. And Maharaj Ji used to take it, Taponji Maharaj, and used to keep it inside. And when they would leave, students used to be there, right, studying with him. So he would ask those students to take that and offer it to Gangaji. Even if, sweets are given, some laddus are given, he would say, take all of that and offer it to Mother Ganga. And if student would ask, I don't think anybody would have dared to ask, but he would have just said it once. He said to bring all of those things, and for those things to come to you was your prarabdha. But whether you take it, whether you do bhoga of it or not, see, that is totally up to you. So as a brahmachari, as a renunciate, our dharma is to give it back. And their dharma, out of their reverence, they have brought it. Everything that comes doesn't mean you have to take it. Now you apply this in all situations. The way situations come in our life, I only have decided based upon my previous karma. We should remember this Apurva Rashi, right, is not somebody else has created. I don't remember it, but my karmas only have contributed to this Apurva Rashi. Out of that, prarabdha is taken, and everybody's life will have sukha and dukkha for sure. Because human body itself is given, it is said when punya papa is almost balanced out. Means it will be a mixture of punya and papa. So punya karma will bring sukham and papa karma will bring dukkham. And this is all for inner maturity. Again and again, I repeat this point whenever karma siddhanta is discussed. It is not to tell somebody else. When I am going through happy situations in life, I should remember it is Bhagwan's grace that he has given me. He has made sure that punya karmas give good results. And when difficult times are there, I should remember some papa karma is getting exhausted now. Seeking Bhagwan's grace alone and trying to see what is it teaching me from this. Do I get vairagya or not? To come out of this cycle of punya and papa. Okay, so this is called as prarabdha karma. First one was sanchita. Okay, this cloud. And now out of it, this entire karma which is responsible for the type of body, the type of experiences, everything that it receives in that lifespan, that is called as prarabdha. People, what they loosely call as destiny, right? But destiny, sometimes we feel that everything is predestined. You ask Patanjali Maharshi, you could have included response also, right, in prarabdha. He says, no, that I don't include in prarabdha. That is what will create your future prarabdha. Otherwise, why talk about sadhana chatushtaya? If everything was prarabdha, why talk about doing sadhana, doing some kind of self-effort? Says if I get moksha, I will get moksha. And Bhagavan says that is manda mumukshu. One who feels that I will get moksha just on its own. If it is destined to happen, then I will be free. He says it doesn't happen that way. Okay. So that is prarabdha karma. And how is it? It is like this arrow. Once it is released, you cannot bring it back. So prarabdha karma, once it has given rise to this body, one has to go through the experiences that we get through this body. So then what is agami karma? The third type of karma. So now we are clear with what is sanchita, what is prarabdha. So this person is there, right? Person was ajnani before. And through Vedanta Shravanam, Mananam, some satsang happens and knowledge takes place. Okay, same person only, knowledge has taken place. What is the nature of knowledge? That I am not this individual. I am not karta. So if karta bhava is removed, then first thing that gets burned is sanchita karma. This entire cloud which is there of sanchita karma, if clear knowledge takes place, that sanchita karma is burnt right at that moment. Prarabdha karma, what happens to it? Prarabdha karma is understood to be mithya. What did we see now? Prarabdha is responsible for all bhoga, right? All situation. So this jnani has understood this individuality is mithya and everything in this creation is mithya. How can prarabdha remain as satyam? So from jnani standpoint, there is nothing called as prarabdha. From all of us, when we look at jnani, we feel, oh, they are going through so many things. So prarabdha remains only from other standpoint. And now what happens? Jnani, many a times we see them doing so much of work. So many institutions they create, so many schools they run, so many hospitals, so many social works are being done. He says all of that karma which happens after knowledge, that is called as agami karma. Okay, after knowledge, that dot was sattva jnanam. After knowledge, whatever karma they do, that is called as agami karma. Jnanotpatti anantaram jnani deha krutam means after jnanam, whatever karmas are done by this jnani. But if you really ask jnani, are you doing any karma? They say, what karma? So it is with this clear knowledge, knowing that this ahankara is mithya, whatever totality wants to get done through them, those karmas. But karma nature is such, it creates punya papa. Okay, so that is why both words are used. Jnani deha krutam punya papa rupam karma yadasti tad agami iti abhidhiyate. That is called as agami karma. So now naturally somebody might ask, what happened before? All karmas which were done here, what do you call it? Okay. So you say that also is called as agami only. But only difference is, before is ajnani, right? Before this point, that person or any other person was ajnani. So karmas done there would directly create apurva and go to sanchita karma. But over here, after jnanam, there is no collection in sanchita karma. Because sanchita karma is burnt, there is no apurva that is created that will lead to further destinations for this jnani. Okay, that is the main difference. Okay, this is called as agami karma. And what does Tattva Jnanam do? Tattva Jnanam gives freedom from all three types of karmas. Punya karma also, yes. Punya karma also, if this kartrutva bhava is not gone, that becomes responsible for future births. Might be in a very good place, in Swargaloka or Brahmaloka, but this mumukshu says, I don't want any samsaranam now. No coming and going anywhere, because I have discovered that supreme happiness. If somebody is content and you forcefully tell that person, let us go here, let us go there. Going there, which somebody feels to be a very good place, this person feels like a bondage. Right? If you say, Alaska is a very nice place, let us go there. It might be a very good place, but for somebody who is content wherever they are, so that person says, why should I go? So punya karmas are like that. They will take us to good destinations, but this jnani or this mumukshu has reached the final state of vairagya now. He says, that also I don't want. What I have discovered is even beyond that. Okay, these are the three types of karmas which are, a person is free from all of them with knowledge. This is a very interesting portion. This is a unique portion in Tattva Bodha which you will not find in other texts. What is it that you will see? Sanchitam karma, brahma eva aham iti, nishchaya atmaka jnanena, nashyati, agami karma api, jnanena nashyati, kincha agami karmanam, nalini dalagata jalavat, jnaninam sambandho nasti, kincha ye jnaninam stuvanti bhajanti archayanti, tan prati jnani krutam agami punyam gacchati, ye jnaninam nindanti dvishanti dukkha pradhanam kurvanti, ye jnaninam nindanti dvishanti dukkha pradhanam kurvanti, tan prati jnani krutam sarvamagami kriyamanam yadavacham karma, tan prati jnani krutam sarvam agami kriyamanam yadavacham karma, papatmakam tadgacchati, surudha punyakrutam, duhrudah papakrutyam grunhanti, suhrudah punyakrutam, duhrudah papakrutyam grunhanti. So whatever we saw, that only is given in Sanskritam. Sanchitam karma, brahma eva aham asmi iti nischaya jnanena nashyati. Once knowledge takes place that I am Brahma, sanchita karma is burnt. Because karta is not there, those karmas don't find any place to go now. Just like in dream, let us say, you parked in the wrong place. Okay, it was said no parking, and there you parked. And then this cop came in the dream and he's right about to give you a ticket. He has figured out, he has taken your number and everything written down, and he's about to give you a ticket. And at that time you wake up. So now that because you have got a ticket in dream, he says that karma phala I have to get, will you go and pay your remaining dues over here? No, because once that karta is gone, those karmas are also gone. So with that much clarity, we should understand how this kartrutva is mithya. Just like we know that dream karta is mithya, right? With that clarity, we should understand this individual karta is mithya. So then sanchita karmas, just like that, corpse ticket, all of it gets burnt. Agami karma, also with this knowledge, is burnt because karta is not there. Whatever karmas are being done, that is not affecting this jnani anymore. And how does he do karma? Like a drop of water on a lotus leaf. Nalini dalagata jalavat jnaninam sambandha nasti. It looks to be in contact, but that leaf is unaffected by that water droplet. So like this, agami karmas are also not affecting this jnani. But interestingly, all the karmas that jnani appears to be doing after jnanam, they will create their own punyas, and they will create, if that karma is not good karma, it will also create papa. Now it is our shraddha, our bhakti, that we have this firm conviction that if somebody is a jnani, somebody is following sampradaya, they have done their sadhanas, there is no too much of scope for papa karma. But Shruti Mata herself says it could be possible. Papa karma also can be there. Avachyam karma also can be there. So we cannot question Mother Shruti. We should just take whatever is being said. What interesting point is, where will those punya karmas go? So Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji says, those who do stuti of this jnani, those who worship jnani, all punya karmas come to them. Now this is the good side. What is the other side? This is te jnaninam nindanti, those who criticize, dvishanti, those who hate, dukkha pradanam kurvanti, those who give sorrow to that jnani, all papa karmas come to them. Now this again is a Shruti Vakya. I spent a lot of time trying to see in which Upanishad this is said. So there is a Yajurvediya Shakha, Shatyayani Shakha. Okay, there is one Yajurvediya Shakha where this particular line is said, Tasya putra dayam upayanti suhradaha sadhu krutyam dvishantaha papa krutyam. Means example is given, just like, there is a grihastha jnani. After that jnani departs from this body, whatever wealth is there, that is distributed amongst next generation. We said in the same way, these punya karmas and papa karmas also get distributed amongst those who are there around. Okay, so punya karmas go to those who worship, and that is what we have to take, right? The main thing is this, that whenever we have that shraddha bhava against a jnani, we should put forth a lot of effort to protect that shraddha. A simple way is this: whatever we praise, that quality comes to us, right? Means if you are praising some quality in somebody, that quality naturally makes its way to this sadhaka. Means our sadhana chatushtaya will increase, our shraddha, bhakti, that will increase. And Upanishads want to make us have Brahma Buddhi in everything. And if I have dvesha towards Jnani Mahatma, say that itself will become the first obstacle. And our Upanishad Rishis are so straightforward. They say, for some reason, if you see some shortcoming in us, take only what is good. Feel free to let go of the other thing. You don't have to emulate each and every of our quality. So Taittiriya Upanishad Rishi, he says that, Yani anavadyani cha karmani tani sevitavyani. Whatever is agreeable to Shastra, only that karma you take. Okay, so that is this portion. The main thing is we should protect our Shraddha and especially Santa Mahatmas not to do anything but follow their path. Okay. So then finally this concludes by saying, What is the result of this self-knowledge? So this we will chant. Tatha cha atmavit samsaram tirtva. Tatha cha atmavit samsaram tirtva. Brahmanandam iha eva prapnoti. Brahmanandam iha eva prapnoti. Tarati shokam atmavit iti shrutehe. Tarati shokam atmavit iti shrutehe. Tanum त्यजतु वा काश्याम तनुम त्यजतु वा काश्याम श्वपचस्य गृहे अथवा ज्ञान संप्राप्ति समये मुक्तासौ विगताशयः इति स्मृतेश्च. Says this Atmavit, knower of the self, samsaram tirtva, having gone over this constant transmigration in our own understanding across different bodies, with this clear knowledge, Brahmanandam, that supreme happiness he knows as his own nature, right here, right now. And he comes to cross over all sorrows. Tarati shokam Atmavit. This is Chandogya Upanishad. Naradji, to Naradji, Sanakadi Rishis, they give this Upadesha. And it doesn't matter where he gives up his physical body. It can be in Kashi Kshetra or it can be in any other place. Jnana Mukti, Jnana Samprapti Samaye Muktaha. Mukti is right at that moment when knowledge takes place. This is the main point. We should not have any doubts about what will happen after this physical body. He says, know clearly that just like mirage water is an appearance, this physical body also is an appearance in consciousness. This is the main teaching of all Shruti and all Smruti. Okay, so few more minutes and then we'll conclude. This will be our last class on Tattva Bodha. So we saw several topics, and as I mentioned, this is one of the introductory texts. So that's why a very nice holistic view is given of different points. And not everything would have become clear in the first go. Okay, so don't worry if I went too fast today. It will keep coming back. So first topic what we saw was of Adhikari Sadhana Chatushtaya. And if you remember, when we discussed that, we did not discuss it from a paramarthik standpoint. Right? From very transactional standpoint, what is Viveka? Just like this ant is doing Viveka between sugar and sand or water. This is like that we should be able to do Viveka. But the main thing is, it will help us have a cheerful life. We'll be able to face situations better with this Sadhana Chatushtaya. But result of true Sadhana Chatushtaya, it will make our mind contemplative. Okay, so that is the main result of Sadhana Chatushtaya. That person will be able to do Tattva Vichara. That is why this portion was elaborated. Then came the portion of Who am I? Tvam Pada Shodhanam. So we saw three Shariras. I am different from three Sharira. I am different from Panchakosha. I am the witness of three states of experiences. So each one was elaborately described. What is the main point we should conclude? That I am Chaitanya Swarupa, unaffected, different from these conditionings. Okay, that is the main essence of that. Then came Tatpada Shodhanam. What is the nature of this creation? Right? All Panchikaranam was explained. How did this sense organs emerge from consciousness? That was explained. That is called as Tatpada Shodhanam. And the main point there is, this creation has consciousness as its substratum. Now this Prakaranam will remain the same no matter which text of Vedanta you study. It is up to us to appreciate how it is unfolded. Beauty will be therein the way of unfolding only. right? They won't talk about something totally different. And the last topic, what we just saw, was Jivan Mukti and Mahavakya Vichara. That what is Mahavakya? It says that same consciousness which is substratum of these thoughts is the consciousness which is substratum of this entire creation. And thought is a conditioning which is mithya. And so is this creation, which is also a conditioning, and it is mithya. This clarity of knowledge in a pure mind is called liberation. Okay, we should not have any other idea of what is mukti, what is jivan mukti. It is said this is what is called as mukti, moksha, this is what is called as jivan mukti. These 4 topics form entire Tattva Bodha, what we discussed for 18 classes. Okay. So as our tradition, we will chant the first words, invoking grace of Bhagwan and showing our commitment that Bhagwan, this was just a first glance at this text. Every word that you have written is very deep, very subtle. Maybe go over it again and again. Okay, we will chant together. Vasudevendra Yogindram Natva Jnana Pradam Gurum Mumukshunam Hitarthaya Tattvabodho Vidhiyate Tattvabodho Vidhiyate. I express my gratitude to all of you who came regularly, who made this reflection possible. And also our AV Sevaks who tirelessly work in all sessions, and in particular for this session, it was our Srini ji and Ravi ji who very nicely did all the seva for this. So invoke Bhagwan's grace on all of them. During summer, if you want some homework, you can go back to the verses of Tattva Bodha, right? Those who are motivated and want to do more sadhana, you can write it down separately on a sheet of paper. That way, all definitions will keep alive. And you can always go back to whichever definition you want. And that will also help mananam, to reflect upon this text. Okay, more announcements are there, so please stay back. So in the interest of time, we're almost 5 minutes over. I'll just take one question, and the remaining, I know many of you are coming in person during the summer for Bhiksha, so I'll get a chance to talk to all of you. If there are any other, we can probably exchange via email. The time between vairagya towards worldly joys and not yet finding ananda in oneself is very dry and sometimes gets frustrating. Feeling of being neither here nor there is very difficult. What is the advice given to a person in this crossroad? This is very true. And all sadhakas, all of us go through this, right? That it all looks good in Vedanta lecture when it is said, Brahmanandam, Tarati Shokam Atmavit. You say, my condition is very different right now. Actually, I was happy before studying Vedanta because I didn't know that there were 2 sources of, 2 ways of being happy. The worldly way and the Vedantic way. So now neither I can go back to my previous way of living, nor have I fully held on to this Vedantic knowledge to say that I don't need any other thing to be happy. So that is why our rishis were very foresighted in this. And whatever things they have given us through our Sanatana Dharma, right? That is to fill up for this gap. All festivals that we celebrate, all sadhanas that we do, all forms of art which we have rooted in Bhagwan, that is called as Satvik Sukham. Right? Sukham is something that we all are seeking. But first step to move away from Vishaya Sukham is to switch to Satvik Sukham. Now, doing Rangoli in a festival time, preparing Naivedyam for Bhagwan, doing some seva, right, every weekend, all of it gives joy. I'm depending on that particular thing. I feel that only on Sunday at this particular time, if I go to that place, then I am happy, which is okay. But I know that this is a superior quality of happiness than maybe, let us say, watching a movie. Right? So from bhoga to sattvic bhoga. Then when the mind gets even more subtler, then this jnanam becomes available to us. That is why every day we should have some sadhana that we look forward to. Right? Either it is japa sadhana. It doesn't matter how many things we are doing. Right? Nobody says you should do japa also, puja also. So many in a list of sadhanas. More important is which sadhana have I connected with as much. Goswamiji said about japa sadhana, right? He said, what was it? That Rama Nama, Akshara, I'm blanking on the doha. He said, Tulasi Sali Sudasa. That when this Rama Nama has given its full import, whatever it has, whatever capability it has fully worked in that sadhaka's life through japa sadhana. He said it is like Savana Bhadava Mas. It is like that monsoon shower which is there, and the sadhaka is that fully blossomed crop. That is a metaphorical way of saying, but what he really means is that every sadhana should shower results like that. Results means joy, ananda of doing that sadhana. So that much we should take it up to. Right? So like this, different festivals, different sadhanas, those are our intermediate steps. Okay. All right. Other questions we will discuss some other time. Okay. Hari Om everyone. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Guru Pyo Namaha. Hari Om. Hari Om.